And those who invested in the hotel industry have taken the last 50 to 100 years to get where they are, whereas you have been in the last 10 years equaling or at least close to the equivalent of what they have in terms of accommodation income. I mean, that's kind of like where sometimes those of us in the committees, I will say to the testifier, could you put it in street language? Those things that are kind of down where you can understand it and intuitively see where it's going.
I think the other important thing is that Act 221 not only incentivizes our local investors, but it has served as a way to attract capital from outside of Hawaii into our tech community. And that is so important because, you know, Silicon Valley venture capitalists, they don't want to have to travel 2,500 miles to go to a board meeting. And so they've been reluctant to invest in Hawaii. But now, because of people who are here, they go to their friends on the mainland and they say, this is a great business, you should invest with me. And people always like to invest together as a group. And it's brought in $3 for every local dollar that the tax credits have gone to support. So we think you're getting a lot of bang for the buck.
Let's talk about investments, Jane. What about gender investments? Is this the man thing? You know, there's two men on either side. Is it typical of what's in the industry, or is it there are women getting into high tech also?
Oh, lots of women in high tech, and I might say that time and technology are a great equalizer for women. Just in that, as Bill said, it's not all asset based. What you've got, it's what you're developing. So you'll get the venture capital, the money coming in, and then that SBA financing for fixed assets or other things will come into play. Women still have a little bit tougher time getting financing through conventional means, but we're seeing that change a lot.
So SBA does give high-tech loans, Mr. Fidell.
Well, we do give loans to high-tech companies, definitely, and a lot of high-tech companies are involved in our 8A program. It's just, I think what Jay's referring to is the size of the investment that has to come before you have the product that's going to turn around and give you the revenue. Because what we look at with all our financial institutions is repayment ability.
What's the biggest loan someone might get from the SBA?
Basically, our 7A loan tops out at about $2 million. Our 504s can go higher than that. Just it depends on the economic development purpose, how many jobs you're going to create, where is the business going to be. So it's not just a one-size-fits-all program. There are exporting loans, there are different kinds of loans. Right now we have, you know, some of getting information out about how companies can go green with SBA financing. So there are a lot of different things. And right now is a good time too because we have a lot of incentives that have come down to us through the Recovery Act.
And we have a changing economy, one that's focusing on renewable energy and green, or is it where still traditional venture capital deals, Bill, with your Hawaii Venture Capital Association? Are you guys having as many deals as before, or they're shifting into energy deals, green deals? What's kind of the changing marketplace out there since last
Well, the biggest growth we've seen in venture investing has been in clean tech and green tech. It's actually been the bright spot in the venture capital world. Biotechnology is also still very strong. Software and information technology is strong. But there's been a real shift of emphasis on green and clean. And that's been very important to see. The current economic conditions have slowed investing, and we actually have seen a drop in terms of total investment in the last 2 quarters. And that's because the people who fund venture funds, the endowments and other institutions have been feeling the pain. But venture funds are still very active, and they're still, as a class of investment, returning on average in the last 20 years a 15 to 16% return on investment.
Let me ask you this. How big should our vision be for a diversified economy in high tech? I know we've been talking about diversifying the economy probably ever since the Matson lines came, and we perfected those, and then the Pan Am, and then the airlines. We're at 7.5 million tourists, well, at least in a good year, 7.5 million. Is there anything that we can't do in the high-tech industry? You know, can we be in a Mumbai can we do all of the high-tech software, engineering, development stuff that doesn't have smokestack requirements in Hawaii? How much potential we got to really go with this, or you guys are going to be nice, you're going to be highly paid, small, 5–10% of the workforce, but we're never really going to go big gangbusters. How big should we think? Your think tech, should we think big or think small about this,
we should
Jay?
think big. It reminds me of the fact we did clinical trials with Hawaii Biotech on, was it West Nile virus recently? If that scores, and it will score because it's been through the FDA trials, one of these days there'll be a product that will be sold worldwide that was designed, developed here in Hawaii. That could be billions. We have Cardax Pharmaceutical working on axanthin, which is an anti-inflammatory, could have all kinds of positive effect through the medical community, through an array of diseases and problems. I've heard David Watermull say that could be in the tens of billions.
Made in Hawaii.
Well, designed in Hawaii, made somewhere else. It's the intellectual property that makes a difference. And so if you control intellectual property like that, the world is your oyster, the sky is the limit, the amount of money that could come in because we solve these problems and develop this intellectual property could be astronomical, a tremendous return on our investment. And so there is no limit, Gene.
Because sometimes I don't get with my colleagues here in the legislature that we're really thinking big, we're thinking, in fact, sometimes we look askance, if you will, at those of you who work for a profit. Jane, you work for the government. But it's, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that sometimes when you say think big, you don't realize that most of our businesses really don't look at it, that most of the businesses still are considered small businesses. For example, the Small Business Person of the Year for the state of Hawaii is a tech company this year, Vaughn Vasconcelos with Akimeka. He has major Department of Defense contracts and does millions and millions of dollars in business, but he's still a small business. And he's got, I'm not even sure, a lot of employees, maybe 90, 95 employees. They're doing a lot of work and changing a lot of things in their industry.
That is
so
encouraging
it is very, very possible to have really highly accomplished tech businesses here without.
Just a little plug. My office is writing a white paper on the indigenization of the defense contract industry. Too often, it's the big mainland firm that parachutes somebody in, they go through the process, take up the money, and fly them out rather than growing local. This is a local guy, right? That's really encouraging, very encouraging. Bill, you were going to say something.
Well, you know, you have to think big. The economy is a global economy. It's totally interconnected, and thanks to the internet, you know, we can sell things to the whole world with very little trouble. You know, I am a finalist coach on the State of Hawaii High School Business Plan competition every year for the last several years. And it's great to see the kids come in and present their business plans, but one of the things I always have to lecture them on is to think big, because with an island mentality, you think about a business, you think, well, what can I sell to the people in my neighborhood? You know, what can I do right here on the island to survive? And really that has been the concept of business for so many years. But today, there's no barrier. The distances are shrunken, and we have so much potential. Look at Hank Rogers and his business, Blue Lava Technology. He set up shop at Manoa Innovation Center and acquired the rights to Tetris and put it on cell phones. And within a matter of months, he was making $10 million a month in downloads from cell phones all over the world. Soon after that, at Manoa Innovation Center, okay? Intellectual property, that little game Tetris, which is one of the most popular games in the world, he was then acquired by a big mobile game company for $140 million. His company was acquired, and now he's turned around and taken that wealth and invested in 3 or 4 other businesses, all of which are growing, and he's funded a foundation to help Hawaii become green.